Hello, it's Mira and welcome to Master Consultant class, Sharing the Opportunity. I am Mira, your favorite Mary Kay sales director, and I have contacts this week, so I won't have to worry about my glasses or any of the other stuff. I wanted to start out just by debunking some myths about sharing the opportunity. Sharing the opportunity is one of the things I struggled with as a consultant, and one of the biggest things I see consultants struggling with in my unit historically. Here, let's move this up a little, shed a little light on the situation. There we go. And I love my stand-up desk. It's so much fun. Okay, so sharing the opportunity was actually one of Mary Kay's original tenets of her marketing plan. Before there were such things as career cars or red jackets, or there is even a sales director besides Mary Kay herself. It's called the 4-point recruiting plan. And the 4-point recruiting plan is pretty basic. It is, at every appointment, ask, or party, ask, who do you know who would be great at doing what I do? Then you share your 1 to 3 minute story, and you can use an acronym or a game or a dollar bill marketing type of a thing, any of those things, like the video that I have you guys use to practice sharing the opportunity. And then you're going to select your hostess plus at least one other person to hear about the opportunity. And you're going to offer an incentive to the people who you invited who listened to the opportunity for anyone that they refer to you who becomes a qualified new team member. So that's your 4-point recruiting plan. So that's very easy. So those bookings that you're holding as part of your homework for leads generation and booking and coaching your appointments to hold, when you hold those appointments, you're going to use the 4-point recruiting plan as part of your presentation. Now, direct sales is enjoying a really special type of renaissance post-pandemic. So I don't want you to be afraid of sharing. You're just giving the information, just like you give information about where our product's manufactured, what's in our product. You're going to talk about why your business is great, and people are expecting to hear about it. And I think people are more and more open. At least that's what I'm finding as I'm meeting new people and finding out the people who have good jobs, secure jobs, or people who usually would get a retail job or a restaurant job to supplement their income, they're not able to do those things. So here's the reason why I find that most consultants either are not team building or only team build to a certain level. Number one, well, if she joins, will there be enough clients in our friend group, family group, whatever? Yes, there will be. People are born every day and they grow up. 65% of the world's population is female. And as a company, we have less than 10% of the market. So other consultants aren't our competition. Particularly here in the Treasure Valley, the influx of people is astronomical. I have had 5 people in the last 7 days contact me through my website or through my Facebook page and say, will you sell me some Mary Kay? And I'm like, yes, I totally will. So there's plenty of people who are coming in. Now, what's even better is that because we enjoy such great brand recognition, 58 years, there are so many people who have a positive experience of Mary Kay that may not be based on very current product, but they already trust and like the brand because of an experience they had maybe as many as 20 years ago. So the second thing, if she joins, will there be enough clients? The answer is yes. Second, if I have team members, I have to train them. No. In fact, most of you that's just way above your pay grade. Even with the enhancements that there have been to the consultant compensation plan, as a sales director, part of my job description, part of my contract is to take time out of my schedule to provide training not only for my own people, but for anyone who's local who wants to participate in what we're doing. And that's a really important thing for you to understand, is that you have zero obligation to train your new team members until you become a sales director and until you attend director training week, either virtually or in person. So women like to help, and that's why the company gives us commissions from our recruits, but sales directors are paid extra and given weekly and sometimes bi-weekly training and support. So when you're like, well, how do you know everything? It's because the company they have a monthly meeting for me with my national area, with the Mary Kay national area. They send me weekly emails with information, and they have memos and reports that come out every week, sometimes twice a week, that gives me a lot of information. And because I take my job seriously, I read all of that stuff and I spend time researching ideas from colleagues. So I make the same amount of commission on everyone who's from second line all the way down to 155th line. So I get paid for that. You don't have to take care of them. You just have to be there to be their friend and maybe to be a little bit of a sister to them. Okay, well, and here's the next one. I don't really know how serious I am about Mary Kay, so I don't really know if I am going to recruit anybody. Doesn't matter how long you decide to stay. Could it benefit you in the short term? As a new consultant, when you recruit at least 3 people in your first 4 months, you are looking at between $250 and $500 extra dollars, not to mention free product bonuses that you'll be getting. So would you like that? Could you get excited about that? I mean, I don't know about you, but I still get fired up about a couple $100 extra dollars, especially if it's just something that seems easy and fun, like talking to your friends. Okay, please tell me I did not just lose my notebook. Oh, I did. Okay, we're going to see if it will come up on here. So those are the 3 main objections that people have to sharing the opportunity. Now, I won't get into all of the consultant compensation plans right now. That's something that you can do some reading on your own with. But here's what I will tell you about having great conversations. And if you have not yet watched the Celeste Headley video, How to Have a Great Conversation, that I put into our group, I want you to pause me right now and go back and watch that short 10-minute video about having 10 ways to have a great conversation. It will improve the quality of your life. Not just for Mary Kay, but for your relationships all the way around. And I know that you really want that. Okay, so now that you've watched the video, I want you to make sure that when you're having conversations with people, you can definitely steer the conversation, but make sure that you really are present for it and that you're paying attention and that you're listening really well to the responses that are given. When you're talking to people, whether you're selling them on the opportunity, or on the product, you want to help them connect the dots. Instead of rushing and persuading, invite them to learn more. Ask what her dreams and ambitions are. Ask her what qualities she has that would make her successful at Mary Kay, and what would she enjoy most about the opportunity. Ask her where she's stuck. What would keep you from starting? Help her overcome those objections for herself. Now, I'm going to share a couple of documents with you really quick. So let's see if we can get technology to work the way that I want it to. We're going to stop that one, and we're going to share the screen for this window. I want to show you, okay, we're going to see if we can find the right one. I want to show you first a team building layering chart. And the reason why I want to show that to you is because it's going to take at least 7 different times for you to be able to, let's see, do I not have this? Cancel. We're going to choose what to share. there's going to take 7 different interactions for you to be able to get your prospective team member, especially from the time that she's new to the product, on through it. Now, because we have been in a business for so long, there's a few of these layers. There's a lot of people who have been somewhat layered beforehand. Now, let me just now I stopped calling it the team building layering chart, and I went to calling it the relationship layering chart, because you want to layer up the people who you really click with, whether or not they are people who you think will join the company. Because especially when you're new, you either want these people on your team or you want them on your side. And so the relationship layering chart, when you meet somebody, so I just met somebody from an event. Her name is Margaret. She had heard about Mary Kay, but not really used the product. So I sold her a miracle set. Now she's using the product regularly. And I sent her home, in her goodie bag, she had some information about team building, and I don't know whether she read it or not. I just sent her a follow-up text to find out how she likes her skincare so far. I'm going to send her a How We Make Our Money video link and have her watch it. And then I'm going to follow up with her in person or on the phone and ask her the follow-up questions as soon as the opportunity presents itself. So from initial contact to uses the product, How We Make Our Money, has some team building literature, follow up in person, that's going to be 4 different interactions that I'm going to have with her. And usually it takes between 4 and 7. So notice that uses the product regularly, hosts a party, been a repeat hostess, team building literature, How We Make Our Money, has watched the What It Would Be Like video, which is the second video that I just created for you. That is something you can use with people who you've talked to in the past. Because a lot of people, one of the reasons why they say no is they're like, well, I'm not sure what it would be like. I'm not sure how it would fit in my schedule. And I just talked them through what it would be like to be in our unit, to be trained by me, to be mentored in our group, so that they can feel not only good about you, but they can feel good about me as their trainer and sales director. So, and that gives you a lot of credibility as well, because you're like, look, I've got this really talented, really tenured person. So even if you're not very tenured, even if you haven't been around very long, even if your business is super part-time, you can point them to a resident expert who you trust. So that my new friend Margaret is going to have 4 different interactions. By the time, my goal, especially because I really like her and we have good energy together, I want her to go through this entire process. And even if she's not ready to sign up, even if she's not interested at this time, I want her to have all the information, because layered customers, they love you to death. They will do anything for you. They will refer their friends for parties, for anything, because of the level of trust and commitment that they have with you. And eventually they become team members. In fact, Jessie Zavala is one of my best stories of layering, because she's been in my customer base since I was in director in qualification in 2003. Yes, that's right. She knew me before she knew me after I'd earned a car, but before I became a director. And she became my client, and then we became friends, and we've been friends forever since we were both single career girls. And I think it was 3 years ago, she came to me and said, I think I need to sign up. I've got 3 daughters now. I can't keep choosing to afford the amount of product that we need. I really should be doing this business with you. So a layered up customer is what you want. And I know layered up touches all the words. Shannon, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so our next point, look, now my Microsoft Notebook is loading again. All right. So it's really important to, when people say no to you about the career that you keep in their lives. I can't tell you how many people I have interacted with who said, well, my consultant shared about the Mary Kay opportunity because she was building her team, and I said no, and then she stopped calling me or sending me catalogs because it was weird. So I've seen this happen recently with a red jacket who's no longer a red jacket. She came in and she shared with everybody, and some said yes and some said no, and then she lost some steam, and then she stopped calling people or sending them catalogs, and then she's like, I don't know what's happening to my business. Well, it's because you're not following up with people. So you need to follow up. You need to continue. It needs to be okay for people to say no to you periodically, and for you to not be so invested for them to say yes. We talked about the 4-point recruiting plan. You should always share your why or your I story. And a lot of consultants get hung up on this. One of your homeworks for this session is to build your I or your why story or your I can story. It's been called a lot of things in 20 years. But basically, you're going to tell them how long you've been in Mary Kay, what else you do or what else you have done before, and what you're excited about, what you're working on right now. And I know a lot of consultants are like, oh, I don't have an amazing story. I didn't earn a car. I've been in 5 years and, whatever. But your consistency says a lot about you. That is its own very important kind of success. And quite honestly, my I story may sound impressive. A top director's I story, a national's I story may sound impressive, but what they're most impressed with is you, and what they're most invested in is you. So my I or why story right now would be, okay, so I've been in Mary Kay since 2002. I joined as my third job for extra money, and a lot's changed in my life since 2002. What I'm excited about right now is we just made an offer on a vacation condo on my favorite island in Hawaii. And so I'm working to make money so that I can pay the payment out of my Mary Kay money instead of our family money. So I'm working to make about $1,000 extra a month right now. So I'm so excited to be with you at this party, and thank you for participating in my goals and dreams. So that's going to be my story right now. And yes, I did. I just made an offer. So we'll see. We'll see about escrow. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say about no's and about objections. Let me go share another screen. We're going to stop this share. We're going to share another screen. You're going to need to, you don't need to memorize your classic objection sheet, but you want to become kind of bosom buddies with it. Let me find this again. I need to find it. Oh, let me show you really quick the career literature that I put in everybody's goodie bag. I do this form, this one-page form. It's like possibilities for you and your Mary Kay. And this is just one aspect of our business. And it talks about sales that are coming from company statistics. It talks about what you could see if you were holding 3, 2, 1 parties a week, progressive business, all this kind of stuff. And what I like about this particular thing, I do use the company brochure as well, but what I like about this particular one is it says possibilities for you and your Mary Kay. Oh, it's your Mary Kay. That's so great. So it's giving some ownership. I also like it because it's pretty concise and, it states the facts. So next thing that we want to talk about is classic objections. Let me stop sharing this again. I'm going to look for my classic objections. Here we go. And then I'm going to look for sharing. So the classic objections, you need this for the last homework that you did for booking, for recruiting, sharing the opportunity. We've been rebranded. And then for selling, because it's not just initial sales, it is long-term sales. So you're overcoming objections. Now, like I said, this document has This is so classic Mary Kay, but it's really important for you to follow up. Now, there are guest events that happen a lot of times during, non-COVID, non-pandemic time. I don't want you to worry too much about guest events because guest events are a good layering tool for someone you've already shared with. Very rarely do I have somebody who's brand new to me come to an event and sign up and then, do anything more than buy a kit. Okay, so we've got this. All right, so have you ever thought about doing anything like Mary Kay part-time for extra money? So the main objections: I don't have time, not really interested, I'm not the sales type, I don't wear makeup, I'm too shy, I need to talk to my husband, which you hear less and less, but you do hear it in Idaho still. And then, aren't there too many people selling Mary Kay? And I don't know anybody. So you don't have to know exactly what each one's is, but what you do, and like I said, objections are not comebacks. Objections are basically you helping to resolve fears ahead of time and just really helping her problem solve and see the possibilities. So here are some of my top 10 tips for dealing with objections. You're going to focus on who, the right people, not why. You're going to decide who your ideal business partner is. You're going to resist the urge to gather up everyone in your tribe, and you're going to go into the mode of serving. So this is back to connecting the dots. Good objections, overcoming objections, is really listening to what your prospect is saying and helping her to see from a different point of view, just like you do when your friend shares a problem with you about her children, about her marriage, about her job. Your job as a good listener, as a good friend, even though you not be a long-term friend, but being a great friend is listening and helping them see a different perspective. Now, when people say no, this is usually about timing and situation. It really doesn't have very much to do with you as an individual. They are not personally rejecting you. Rejection really is not devastating if you're not invested in convincing someone of something. Now, back to my tips on focus on the who, not the why. One of the things, one of the very old Mary Kay and direct sales thing is anybody can be a customer. Anybody with skin can be a consultant. Okay, let's just talk about that. Number one, that's not true. It's just not. There are some people who do not have the gifting to interact socially, particularly the more and more we become dependent on technology. There's just some people who are not gifted that way. There's some of us who have natural talents, and even the ones with natural talents, half the time they talk themselves out of sales. There's a great quote on that Celeste Headley video. No one has ever listened themselves out of a job or out of a sale. And so that is, especially since I talk a lot, I now have this new thing where I try to only say every fourth or fifth thing that comes through my head instead of everything that comes through my head. It's hard. So the who and the not the why. All right, so think about an Easter basket. Let's say that you were going out Easter egg hunting, or since it's Halloween time, you're going out to trick or treat, and you love chocolate. Now, you can go around to houses, and what if every house on your block has gummy bears or lollipops? Did you get candy? Yes. Did you get the candy you were looking for? No. And even though it's good stuff, good people, good relationships, is it chocolate? Specifically, in my case, is it a Reese's? If it's not chocolate and peanut butter, girl, I may not be interested in it. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with any other kind of candy. It's just not what I want. Now, I just realized that I forgot to bring in my ideal avatar board. And I want to talk just a minute about that whole idea of everyone. Okay, so the problem with if everyone can be, and you're going to share with anyone, is that a confused mind does nothing. So it's really important to dial that back, to just pull the crazy in just a little bit and really be specific on who you're trying to target. Because even as an extrovert, the maximum number of people that I can be in a relationship with at a time is about 250 to 350 people that I can keep in my mind that I actually can be close to. If you're introverted, it goes down significantly. And this is important because I spent probably the first decade of my career seeing 30 people a month, and just seeing 30 people, not because I needed to see 30 people a month, but because that's what I was getting a prize for, is see 30 faces in a month, do 10 interviews. And I didn't worry about who I was doing. It's like the first 30 people to say yes, the first 10 people to say yes, I kept going with. And the problem is that because I was going at that pace, and then she was upping it to 50 and 20 and all this stuff, it was a breakneck pace, and I was so focused on the numbers that I didn't focus on the quality or on developing that relationship, on really being able to layer it. Because if you're meeting and working with, if you're working with 50 new people a month, that means you had to talk to probably more than that to get those bookings. And I kept going through my customer list. I'm like, I have no idea who 60% of these people were because I was not being focused. And when I started working with the ICANN Institute, one of the main things that Deb shared with me is how to create my ideal customer avatar. And let me just tell you, I really resisted the ideal customer and the ideal team member avatar because it felt like what I was saying is that I will only work with some people. And that's not what it's saying at all. What it's saying is who I'm looking for. It's like the principle of a car. If you buy a red car, or in my case right now, I just ordered a white Tesla Model Y about a month ago. Do you know how many Teslas and white Teslas and Tesla Model Ys I have seen as a result of that decision? They're everywhere. Now, they probably are the same amount as they were before, but when I'm looking for cars in the parking lot, I can always find Suburbans, particularly silver Suburbans, because that's what I've been driving for the last 7 years. So this sheet is going to help you narrow some stuff down for your subconscious mind so that you don't die. And that's basically what I want you to do, is to not die. Now, I couldn't find the one that was the team member one, so we'll just go with the customer one. So basically, you're going to start with demographics. Age, gender. I mean, we're pretty clear about which gender we're usually looking for, or at least gender identity. Educational level, marital status, household income, open to product line. Okay, and then this is what's really exciting, is the psychographics, which is their biggest fear, their frustration, their pain point, their wants, their needs, their hot button. And then we get to page 2, their positive qualities, things like circles of influence. What kind of activities is she involved with? What other kind of women does she know? Willingness to refer, network with, and for you. And her dollar resources, her willingness and desire to buy, loyalty to you, and her product line. So you want to spend some time thinking about this. And I have done and redone this a couple of times. Right now, my ideal client is someone who's in my age range, who's basically 35 to about 45, who's got kids, who, is married or divorced, it doesn't matter. Married, single, divorced, doesn't really matter. Somebody who values personal service, who values expertise, who likes getting luxury at an affordable price, who really likes quality for value, And my ideal team member, I have 4 different age bracket graphics because I have different things I'm looking for depending on what age she is. Like if I'm looking, if I have somebody who is 18 to 25, I want to see somebody who's already graduated from college, or she's had a management position for 2 years or more, that she's had significant responsibility, or that she is like a elite athlete or something like that. Just somebody who really understands discipline and excellence, values relationships. And that's, in her income bracket at that age group, really, it's like 30,000 or above. That's not a big stretch for a starter job. But somebody who I want as a customer who's in the 50 to 60, or who I want as a team member in the 50 to 55 plus range, she's going to look very different in terms of who I'm going to actively pursue. Now, this is like gum or the gospel. I will share the information with anybody. I will give the information to anyone who I feel like I have good energy with, because it may not be for her, it may be for somebody she knows. And I will layer her up if she has the good energy. And but people who I'm going to pursue, who I'm going to specifically look for, who I'm going to try and put myself in the way of, are people who are going to be on that ideal prospect or ideal customer sheet. Now, I have a vision board for my ideal team members that hangs by my bed, so that when I wake up in the morning and I listen to my affirmations, I look at that as I'm taking my medicine and kind of getting into my day. And it has pictures of women of all different colors and ethnicities, of all different ages, and the specific traits that they have that are positive. Some of them are for specific age ranges, and some of them are just character qualities that I want to develop. And I will say that in the 2 years that I've been using it, even though our unit hasn't grown astronomically or whatever, I like all of you. That's the main difference. Is right now I like everyone. Even if you're not doing very much, even if you're on the way out of the unit, I like you. We get along. We are friends. And we're going to stay friends. And that's the main difference, is when you're adding people who are in a very specific, thought out way, you're going to always have people who you enjoy, and former team members, become customers, customers become team members, people go back and forth. It's all good. Now, let me tell you Mary Kay's target demographic, and you'll understand why it's important to narrow down your focus just a little bit. Mary Kay's target demographic for the product and the career is 25 to 60 women, college education or some kind of technical training, has children, has a mortgage, married or has been, recent contact with the product. Now, 3 of these are going to make a good prospect. 5 or more are better. The exception will not build a strong team, work from the rule. Now, when I came into the company, I was under 25, but I had been to college and I had been in recent contact with the product. So there are some exceptions. I don't recommend working. Like I said, I worked outside of the target market for years, and I worked real hard. And that's great, but think about how much more I would have gotten if I wouldn't have been focused so much on doing a certain number of faces and really had been honing in on building the relationships. All right, so let's talk about how you build a strong team. A strong team is built with consistent parties and appointments, sharing the product and the career information equally, selling sets, booking future appointments, and choosing the hostess plus at least 1 to 2 people at every party or appointment to share the career with. Now, when you use that prospect layering sheet to keep track of whom you have shared with, you can continue that layering process. And when you graduate Master Consultant program and go on to the Reignite group, we really work with, when we start team building for the month, we start with who do I need to go back and layer from the previous months, from 6 months ago, from a year ago. Who's on my mind? Who have I been in recent contact with? And who do I need to add to my layering chart? Okay, multiple layers will recruit a new teammate. It may not be the woman, specifically the woman you're layering, but she may be passing that information on to somebody, having a party that she invites somebody who is then unwittingly, she brings you, when you are attracting your target market, your ideal prospect, she will bring you that same thing because of the transfer of energy, because of how much you're focusing on that, and because the kind of people that you want are going to attract the kind of people that you want. So, one of the things that I have newer consultants do, and that I like to have consultants do to practice sharing, is to follow up with, or to use one of my videos. Usually the How We Make Our Money, but sometimes when people are already familiar with the company, going straight to that what would it be like video is a good way to go. And there are follow-up questions that you're going to use with everybody who watches that video and does the Google form survey, which comes to me. And because of the way I've structured those questions, I'm going to be able to tell you with a lot of accuracy what her biggest objections most likely will be and how you should follow up with her. So your homework for this section is to do 10 practice shares. Now, if you're a more established consultant, I'm going to say 5 new ones and 5 follow-up ones. And your first 10 practice shares should be with people you want on your team or people you want on your side, because those are very important things. Now, don't worry about whether they need it, whether they're interested, or if you feel like they're an ideal team member for you, tell them that you want to share with them because you want to have someone just like them. So, even if you share the information with them personally, still have them use that Google form survey or turn in your form to me. My questions are crafted to share, to get them to share information that will help me know, with my marketing expertise and my experience, how they should be followed up with, what their hot buttons are going to be. I think I already said this. So the statistics for recruiting for Mary Kay, and this is in all times, is 1 in 10 women who have more 2 to 3 or more of the demographic categories that we talked about, who hear the information but who have not recently tried the product, will say yes. So 1 in 10 who have 2 to 3, we'll just say 3 demographic categories, and they hear the career information. And I'm going to say that's probably more like, it's a little higher because people are so much more open to non-traditional ways to create a stream of income. The statistics for women who also have 2 or 3 of those demographic categories, plus they're close to the product, they just went to a party, they just made a purchase, they just became your customer recently, that goes up to 1 in 4. So you want to share with your customers, with people who are familiar with the product, because they may never have been asked. Now, there was a woman, she's not in my organization anymore, but she was a very significant part of she created probably a third to a half of my unit business for over a decade. And she'd used Mary Kay for 20 years before I ever came along. I was 26 years old when I recruited her. She was the age my mom was. And no one had ever asked her to be a consultant. And I was floored by that because I'm like, what? How is that possible? You hit the demographic marks on everything. And of course, because I was young, I was like, oh, yeah, this is an established person. This is great. But I'm surprised there's either you have consultants who are trying to build their team and do practice and trying to earn that red jacket, and they ignore their person because they said no to the opportunity, or they never ask because they think that person doesn't need it. So don't prejudge that, make sure you're sharing your story. Make sure people know that you're open to new team members. In fact, I think it was Shannon Baldry last year. We were doing a follow-up from some of your purchases when you're a customer, and you said to me, do you think that Mary Kay would be willing to accept me as a consultant? And I'm like, yes, you're like everything I'm looking for. You have all this crazy leadership ability, and you're like so connected. Of course, yes, 100 times yes. And I just, so that's the thing, gang, is that you should just go ahead and offer it, because you never know. All right, so your homework is to do 10 career surveys using one of my 2 videos. They both have surveys attached to it in the description. You can find that on my YouTube channel, Mira Dunnick. I will post them with this recording when I post this up. And do take some time and think about what kind of person you'd like to attract. Don't prejudge someone whose energy is moving in the right direction. If their energy is moving in the right direction, if you've got a good connection and a vibe with them, just go ahead and share it with them. You never know. So here's what's in it for them. The reason why they probably will say yes to you, especially because this is going to post on the 27th of the month. Every month, I do a drawing for $100 in free product from those surveys. And it's fun to always draw my own people, but it would be really fun to draw some of your people, because I give away the product off of my shelf. It costs you nothing. They get to have that product, and then you're going to get the benefit of them loving that product by their reorders, by their sales, by their recommendations to their friends and family. So that is everything. Thanks for watching tonight. I can't wait to see what will happen when you share the opportunity.